April 30th, 1945. Berlin is crumbling under Allied bombing raids. Soviet troops storm the streets, advancing block by block toward the heart of Nazi Germany. Deep within the Führer bunker, Adolf Hitler is allegedly preparing for his final moments. But did he really take his own life? Or was there something else, something darker, that led to his death? What if Hitler was murdered, and the truth buried under layers of conspiracy? Today, we're diving into one of the most chilling mysteries of World War II, a question that has lingered in the shadows of history. Was Hitler's death orchestrated? And if so, why? What went wrong? And how did this colossal failure impact the course of the 20th century? The official story goes that Adolf Hitler committed suicide in his bunker with a cyanide capsule and a pistol shot. It's been told, retold, and even documented in the Soviet archives. But as we dig deeper, the pieces of this tale start to unravel. Imagine this scene. It's April 1945. Deep beneath the ravaged streets of Berlin, Hitler is secluded in his bunker with a handful of his most loyal followers. The walls shake as Soviet shells hit nearby, the once unshakable Third Reich now reduced to rubble. Inside, the Führer, once a figure of fierce intensity, is now a shadow of his former self, aged beyond his years, his face gaunt, his eyes hollow. He knows the end is near. His empire, his dreams of domination, have crumbled around him. But what if he isn't alone in these final hours? What if, among the loyal faces surrounding him, there are others with very different intentions? As the Führer contemplates his last act, rumors swirl that some of his top officials might be thinking along the same lines, but with one key difference. For them, the only option left is to take matters into their own hands, to end Hitler's life, before he can end it himself. Why would they do this? Picture it. These high-ranking Nazis, fearing what Hitler's final actions might mean for them personally, desperate to protect what remains of their own lives, even as everything else falls apart. They're haunted by the possibility of Hitler surrendering or being captured. They know that if he survives, he could lead them all to a brutal, public downfall, a fate they would do anything to avoid. So, as the clock ticks down and Berlin falls to its knees, whispers of betrayal and survival mix in the air. In the dim light of the bunker, there's a growing tension, a sense that even Hitler himself is unsure of who he can trust. Allies have become enemies. Loyalty is a frail thread stretched thin by the pressure of impending defeat. These men, once dedicated to his vision, now wonder if removing him might give them a slim chance of survival, maybe even a possible future. It's a final, desperate plot, a deadly gamble. But as the world outside edges closer to crushing the last remnants of Nazi power, could some of those inside the bunker truly have been prepared to make the ultimate betrayal? For them, ending Hitler's life could have been the only way to close this dark chapter on their terms. Why? Because, according to conspiracy theorists, some Nazis feared that if Hitler surrendered or was captured alive, their own lives were at stake. By eliminating him, they could potentially negotiate with the Allies or the Soviets, trading information in exchange for their survival. If Hitler had plans for a last-ditch resistance, this group could have deemed him too much of a liability. We've all heard of Operation Valkyrie, the failed assassination attempt on Hitler's life. But there's another, lesser-known plot that has surfaced in recent years, whispered in the dark corners of conspiracy theories. Operation Valhalla. Operation Valhalla, a name that barely scratches the surface of World War II history, but one that holds chilling mystery. Imagine a covert mission, shrouded in secrecy, allegedly unfolding within Hitler's inner circle in the war's final days. This was no ordinary plan. Unlike Operation Valkyrie, which famously sought to assassinate Hitler earlier in the war, Valhalla was different. If it existed, it was a last-ditch, desperate move by high-ranking Nazi officials to take down their own leader before the Soviets could claim him. Picture the situation. Berlin was in ruins. Soviet troops were closing in on the bunker, where Hitler and his closest allies had barricaded themselves. Among these officials there were whispers, If Hitler remained alive until the Soviets arrived, the entire Nazi command structure could face public humiliation, torture, or even worse. For these officials, the thought of Hitler in Soviet hands was unthinkable. So according to some sources, they devised Operation Valhalla, a hidden plot to assassinate Hitler, to end the madness before it spiraled further out of control. But as the story goes, Operation Valhalla failed before it even had a chance. Hitler, plagued by growing paranoia, had learned of the plot, or sensed the betrayal in his ranks. In those final, desperate days, it's believed that he had several of his own aides executed, loyalists and potential conspirators alike, leaving no room for dissent or defiance. He wasn't going to allow anyone else to determine his fate. Whether Operation Valhalla was real or a figment of wartime speculation, it paints a haunting picture of Hitler's final hours. His grip on his followers was slipping, his once powerful empire in ruins, and even those closest to him desperate to escape his dark shadow. Operation Valhalla remains one of those mysteries of the Third Reich, a supposed conspiracy buried under layers of secrecy and mistrust, one last chilling act in the twilight of Nazi Germany. According to these claims, Valhalla was a final, desperate attempt by a faction within the Nazi regime to assassinate Hitler before the Soviets arrived. While evidence of this is sparse, whispers of a conspiracy lingered among Allied intelligence, especially after capturing high-ranking Nazi officials post-war. If Operation Valhalla was real, it failed spectacularly. Hitler, or at least his inner circle, had supposedly learned of the plan and eliminated any conspirators. Some say the Führer's paranoia led him to have trusted aides executed in those final days, ensuring no one could betray him. But even with the operation allegedly thwarted, the conspirators may have left clues, scattered in the wreckage of Berlin. Here's where the mystery deepens. After Berlin fell, Soviet forces claimed to have discovered Hitler's charred remains, but they didn't keep the body, supposedly burying it in a secret location to prevent it from becoming a rallying point for remaining Nazis. Stalin himself cast doubt on Hitler's death, and rumors circulated that Hitler had escaped. Stalin told Churchill he didn't believe Hitler was dead, implying that the Führer might have been whisked away in one of history's most infamous escape theories. Could Stalin have been right? If so, why didn't the Allies confirm or deny it publicly? Some believe that Allied intelligence allowed these theories to thrive, feeding into a larger propaganda effort. After all, a missing Hitler would justify extended military presence and intelligence surveillance. But what if the truth is somewhere between murder and escape? Some believe Hitler's death was neither a suicide nor an escape, but a carefully orchestrated assassination by those who stood to gain most from his disappearance. The Hitler double theory is one of the most bizarre twists in this conspiracy. During the war, it's said that Hitler employed multiple body doubles for public appearances. These doubles would attend events, travel to dangerous locations, and sometimes even meet dignitaries on his behalf. But on April 30th, 1945, some claim that it wasn't Hitler who perished in the bunker, but a double, carefully selected to look as close to the Führer as possible. This would explain the inconsistencies in Soviet accounts of the body's appearance, from different dental records to the odd condition of the remains. If a double was sacrificed, it would have given Hitler ample time to flee. Many believe he escaped to South America, where sightings of Hitler continued well into the 1950s. If Hitler did escape, where did he go? South America was a hotbed for Nazi fugitives after the war. Argentina, Chile, and Brazil are known to have harbored Nazi officials, scientists, and sympathizers. Rumors spread of a remote compound in Argentina where Hitler supposedly lived out his days, protected by loyal followers and wealthy sympathizers. Evidence of Nazi activity in South America is undeniable. But was Hitler really among them? Conspiracy theorists point to declassified CIA documents showing reports of Hitler sightings across the continent. Although none were confirmed, these reports kept the legend alive. After all, for decades, Nazi war criminals were captured hiding in plain sight, raising the tantalizing possibility that Hitler too managed to vanish. Whether or not Hitler was murdered, the mystery surrounding his death has left a haunting legacy. To this day, some people believe Hitler's escape or assassination had a hidden purpose: to protect powerful interests, spread disinformation, or simply sow fear. Think about it. If Hitler's death was truly a failure, it was a failure on many levels. For the Nazis, it was a failure to uphold their twisted vision. For the Allies, it was a failure to achieve full accountability. And for conspiracy theorists, it was a colossal failure to expose the real truth behind history's darkest figures. Today, the theories of Hitler's death, from murder to escape to doubles, remind us of the murky waters of history. If we can't definitively say how one of history's most infamous men died, what other truths might still be lurking beneath the surface? The mystery of Hitler's end remains one of the 20th century's greatest enigmas, and as long as questions linger, so will the shadows of conspiracy. Was Hitler murdered in a high-stakes power play? Did he flee to a new life in South America? Or did he die as the official story claims? In the end, only one thing is certain. History, like truth, is sometimes stranger than fiction.